my name is Carolina Ramirez, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rodolfo Rendon. My pronouns are he, him.
And on behalf of the Student Government Association's Political Action Committee, we would like to welcome you to another one of our Meet the Candidate series. So just a little bit about us if you're new. PAC is a student-led organization whose purpose is to bring political awareness on campus in a nonpartisan manner through fun and informative events.
All right. So as a university, we believe in the free and open exchange of ideas. However, we must also do so in a way that is respectful and helps to build our community. Appropriate and respectful decorum is essential to any democratic exchange of ideas. This is not a place for individuals to engage in political spectacle.
So today we're going to be introducing you to one of the candidates who's going to be on the ballot in the runoff elections for the City of Laredo mayor position. We would like to state that we are a nonpartisan organization. That means that we don't affiliate with any political affiliation or endorse any candidates. And we would also like to inform the audience that the candidate was not aware of any of the questions or topics that we're going to be talking about beforehand.
Yes, at this time we would like to formally introduce you to our mayoral candidate, Mercurio Martinez III. Could you please tell us a little bit about your background, kind of who you are, any current or past professions, any accomplishments that you're really proud of?
Well, sure. My name is Mercurio Martinez III, and my friends call me Merc. My pronoun is he, him, and I went to I was born here in Laredo, Texas, and I went to local schools, graduated from Nixon High School, went to Laredo College, and graduated from St. Edward's University. I am married. I've been married for the last 33 years, and my wife was my childhood sweetheart. She was 15 and I was 16, and then I knew that I hit jackpot. We were blessed with 3 boys, and my boys went on to Texas A&M, graduated, and they're both married. And so I am a former banker. I also am a realtor. So I've been a realtor for over 20 years, and now I'm looking to be your mayor for the city of Laredo. And I'll be a full-time mayor because I have come to see this office throughout my journey in helping Laredo, in working with the citizens of Laredo in various committees, because as a private citizen, I worked on planning and zoning. I was appointed to the planning and zoning. I was appointed to the Board of Adjustment. I was appointed to the Telecommunications Committee. I've been in Transportation Committee. So there's a lot of committees out there that I have served under. And so I ran for city council 4 years ago, and I was successful in being a city councilman. And then I realized that we need good, responsive government. We need good people running for office. So I decided to run for mayor because I saw the need for that mayor to be a full-time position.
All right.
Thank you.
And so you mentioned a lot of accomplishments, professions. How does that coursework relate to your career that you're seeking now as a mayor? And why should we elect you as opposed to your opponent based on that?
Well, I have the background that one needs to be a mayor. There's a learning curve to any office, being a council member, being the mayor. You have to adjust. Most people take, as a matter of fact, if you talk to the current mayor who had never served as a council member or as a mayor, and he is an attorney, and he said it took him about 1.5 years just to get into the office. Now, I have been a city councilman. I can hit the ground running. I know what the issues are because I've been talking to people since I embarked in this journey of running for mayor. I have been on the streets talking to people. I have made their priorities my priorities. And I know that having that experience as a council member just made me ready to become the mayor because I know how to bring people together. I know how the inner system of city government works, and so I can hit that ground running from day one, actually.
All right, thank you. And so, with that being said, you mentioned that you have basically a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge on these issues. In your opinion, if you were to be elected as mayor, what would be your long-term projects for the issues that you would try to solve?
Well, when you open up your water faucet at home, you expect good, clean water to come out. It is my aim to make sure that the citizens of Laredo get the good quality water that they deserve. That being said, there's a lot of aspect that goes into that. We must replace our water pipes, our aging water infrastructure system. And so it has to be a systematic way of doing it, a responsible way of doing it. It's a very expensive process. And because it's expensive, you don't want to burden the taxpayers with a full amount all at once. And so this office the mayor needs to get together with the department heads of the utilities and with management to coordinate a systematic way to present to council. And so that way we can break it down into systems. When one owns their own home, they don't just go in there and remodel it all at once. They take it one bite at a time. They paint the outdoors first, and then maybe the next year they'll paint the indoors, and then maybe the following year they'll make another room adjustment or what have you. And that's the type of system that we must implement for fixing our water. But we must deliver good, clean water to our citizens. They deserve it.
Right, thank you. So you're definitely right. That is one of those long-term projects that takes much longer time to solve, right? I guess moving on to sort of short-term projects, is there anything that you think can be done like in a short amount of time that you would prioritize?
Well, we need a good, stable government. We've gone through so many city managers in the past, and it's time that we go out, do a search, and find that right candidate to be our city manager, and then allow that city manager to manage this city. This city, this beautiful city of Laredo, is a $1 billion corporation. And we must go find somebody that knows how to manage a $1 billion corporation. And once they're in there, we as a council, we as a mayor and council must allow that city manager to manage the city. It's our job to set the policies, but it's the city manager's job to manage the city. And within that comes fixing the water lines, fixing our road infrastructures, fixing our park systems, giving you that quality of life that you deserve as citizens of Laredo.
Right. And as a follow-up, what criteria will you use when trying to hire a city manager? What qualifications would you seek for that position?
Well, the qualifications that I seek is for a city manager to have the experience behind them to be the top person. They must be able to have the qualifications in terms of their degree, their qualifications in terms of experience, previous experience as city managers, their qualifications to communicate with people, because that is important, their qualifications to handle situations that come their way. And if they have that experience, then one can research how they handled different experiences when they were city managers of other cities, etc.
Right. Thank you. And then for our next question, so if elected, what will you do towards TAMIU students? Why should college students or just young people in general select you as their mayor?
So as mayor, the mayor is the face of the community. The mayor is one you look to in good times and in bad times. And so as that said, that mayor also has to be able to communicate. That mayor has to be able to have the ability to bring everybody together. And so the mayor needs to travel to Washington, to Austin, and advocate for bringing jobs to Laredo. They have to be able to go out and seek companies, corporations from outside of Laredo and bring them in there, because one of the things that the students from TAMIU face is jobs. When they get out, they're not going to be students all of their lives. They're going to want to go into the workforce, and they're going to want to look for jobs. And Laredo does not need the brain drain as we have talked about. We need good paying jobs with benefits in Laredo. I'm fortunate to have my sons back in Laredo working with benefits. And I would like to see that happen to every student in this community, to come and find a good paying job with benefits. And by doing so, then they can contribute back to this beautiful city that we call home.
Right, thank you. And actually, a follow-up question to that would be, so you mentioned, bringing businesses in, getting basically job growth here, right? So what would be your plan to, I guess, sort of incentivize or ensure that these businesses stay in Laredo rather than just stay for the short term?
Well, there are different mechanisms, which is why it's very important to have a vast knowledge of what inner workings of the city of Laredo is. But there are a lot of mechanisms that allow us as a municipality to attract businesses from outside of Laredo, but also maintain the businesses that are here. Mm-hmm. We must focus on reestablishing, we must focus on rebuilding our inner city so that local companies can thrive, but bring outside companies in, and so that they can thrive too. We have a young workforce to draw upon, and we have a very nice student population to draw upon as well. Mm-hmm. And so by attracting new businesses come in, incentivizing them to give us good wages, to give us benefits, those are mechanisms that the municipality uses when negotiating, when it comes to paying property taxes, etc., for these companies coming in. One can negotiate to give incentives for them to come in and give those wages that we desire, to give those benefits that we desire.
A lot of Laredoans struggle to have access to medical care in our city, and a lot of them often go to San Antonio or other cities, as you were mentioning, right? They have to go elsewhere for these services. What is your take on this, and do you have any specific plan to maybe tackle this issue?
Well, so Laredo is underserved medically, and we've talked about it. We know that. My opponent happens to be a doctor, and I applaud his services to this community. And that's why I should be the next mayor, because I'm ready to do it full time. And because there's a lack of doctors in our community, I think my opponent needs to continue being a doctor. Anyway, so working with the hospitals is a good thing. We, just like the mayor going out of Laredo looking for those good paying jobs, the mayor should work with the two hospitals and with Gateway Community and with the specialty to see how we can help them open up new services for our community, how we can attract new medical personnel. TAMIU, LC, have the top nursing programs in the country. That says a lot about our community. And we must tap into that resource and expand that resource. And if the city can help them expand those resources to turn out more medical personnel in terms of nursing programs, in terms of different types of programs, radiology, etc., specialties, to help the industry of the medical. And so if we can help these hospitals bring in new services, maybe bring in tax incentives, maybe bring in somehow, pull them all together so that each have their little area, but Laredo would be better served. So the mayor's job, again, it's about communication. It's about being accessible. It's about working with the medical community to bring in better medical facilities within the facilities that we have on and build upon. We also have the UT Health Science Center. We have AHEC. And all of these, we need to bring them in together and work with them. And that's why the mayor's position as the head of Laredo is very important, because people will open up their doors if the mayor goes knocking on them.
Thank you.
Alright. And so moving on to a different topic, another issue that's been talked a lot about is the discussion about the binational park. What's your take on that, and do you have any thoughts and opinions on our border of the city of Laredo?
So when the United States has a hiccup, Mexico feels it, and so does Canada. And they are our neighbors. And we thrive. The city of Laredo thrives because Mexico thrives. They are our neighbors, but they're more than our neighbors. They're our family. A lot of the residents here have family on the other side, and they on that side have family on this side. We're one big community. As such, we have a river that is in front of us, and we must protect it. That river is life to both communities. We have 1 million in population, and that river provides life to us. So we need to protect it. This binational park does that. This binational park is designed to help clean up our river. It helps us to eradicate the invasive species like carrizo cane, salt cedars, etc. And so it allows us to work with our neighbors to the south to better our area. They've gone a step further by creating some sort of a land bridge, is what the Binational Park Committee is talking about. And what would that land bridge do? It doesn't mean that you're opening up your borders and allowing everybody to come in. No, it allows someone from the United States to go onto that land bridge and someone from Mexico to go onto that land bridge and have a gathering of sorts with your family members. And it might be family members that cannot cross to the United States. And so they can participate and meet each other there. And when the time is there to say goodbye, they go back to Mexico. And then U.S. goes back to the U.S. It's got full support of U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. So it's something that can work. But then we have to look at the price tag. And who's going to pay for it? And when we do that, and then we need to take it to the voters and see if they want to participate. You know, years ago, there was a gentleman from Laredo, and he had a dream. And he dreamt big. And he went to council at the time. This was back in the 50s, 1950s. And he went to council and he said, you know what? We should develop the Zacate Creek. If we dam it up and we let the water back up, it'll be a river that we can develop on both sides. We can call it a river walk. And at the time, council said, thank you very much. We don't even have paved streets here. We have to do all sorts of other things. Thank you, but no thank you. And so this gentleman by the name of H.B. Zachary decided, well, okay, they're not paying attention to me here. He wound up moving to San Antonio. And he goes before council over there. And he says, hey, you have a creek here in the middle of downtown. What if we dam it up and let the water flow on there, and we can develop both sides? We can have a river walk. And the city of San Antonio embraced it. And today it's a huge economic boom. And so this gentleman, who dreamt big and made a Riverwalk successful. There's nothing wrong with dreaming. I think we should all have dreams about making Laredo beautiful, making Laredo better. And if this dream becomes a project that is a Riverwalk, that is a binational river park, then it's something that we should explore. But don't discount it, because it might become a reality. And wouldn't that be a great thing?
What about the relationship that we have with immigrants of Laredo? What's your take on that?
And so there's a proper way of immigrating into the United States. I think if we all follow the laws, then we would be better served. The term immigration is something that is federal, and we must work on it on the federal level. And it has to be a bipartisan agreement between all sides, whoever's putting this together. Our neighbors to the south is what makes Laredo shine even more. We have a unique circumstance in that we share this river, in that we share our families together. And it's something that we must work with to keep that familial status, to keep the friendship, to keep not just our neighbors, but our family members, because that's what they are, united as one. And so we must develop that. Immigration is something that needs to be tackled. It should be tackled on the federal level, and we must comply with the rules and regulations that are at the federal level, but we must support our U.S. Customs and Border Patrol personnel. I love that they are here. We need more. I advocate for more boots on the ground. As a realtor, we can sell homes to them. They can buy groceries at our shopping centers. They can go to our restaurants, and it's something that is good for the city of Laredo.
All right, thank you. And just actually really quickly before we move on to our next question, I wanted to ask a follow-up question on that. So you mentioned that immigration is more or less a federal level issue. Do you have any sort of specific plan to maybe advocate for any certain ideas on immigration that you may have? Any specific plans on that?
Well, we recently re-elected Henry Cuellar to Congress, and it's something that we must work with Henry Cuellar about, because having an influx of people coming into our community and not providing the services to help facilitate their approach to the United States is of a big concern to the city of Laredo, because during the pandemic they were coming in and no one was screening them for tuberculosis, for COVID, etc. And those are services that the city provided, and so we need to discuss how to provide better services to accommodate the ones that are coming in, either legally or illegally. But those are services that must be addressed with Henry Cuellar and of course with our senators.
And do you believe that's like an issue here in Laredo for a majority of Laredoans who are undocumented not providing services back to Laredo? Do you feel like there's a lot of people who are just here to be here and not like helping out the community? Is that why it's an issue that you'd like to tackle, or is it just?
Well, it's an issue that the federal government needs to handle. We are here in the city, and we try to protect our citizens. And but we must also have a humanitarian role. So as we accommodate, we must make sure that as they're coming in, they're legal. And if they're not legal, then we must process them properly, humanitarianly, so that the process is not one that we abuse.
Okay, thank you. And actually, for our next question, moving on to a different topic, could you talk about more or less your how your campaign was funded, maybe where the funds come from, just to kind of provide some transparency for the people to know more or less maybe who's funding you, who's supporting you?
So I've had several fundraisers, and I am lucky to have accumulated a lot of friends and family that have been successful. And so in my fundraisers, the vast majority of those that have contributed to my campaign are looking for good people running for office. They live here. Most of my campaign contributions have come from Laredoans, and they're looking at our city government, our state government, our federal government, and they want good people serving. My contributors saw 10 candidates, analyzed the situation, and said, I want to support you. And if you look at the makeup of my contributors to my campaign, every single one of them is some sort of an employer. Every single one of them is a citizen of the United States, is a citizen of Laredo, is a citizen of Texas, and every single one of them want Laredo to succeed, and so that it would make Laredo a better place.
Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned a lot of them came from Laredoans. Do these happen to be like your family, your closer friends?
Most of them are my family or colleagues of mine that I've worked in the past. I've been in the real estate business for over 20 years. And so I have a vast array of supporters, from ranchers to developers to realtors to accountants to engineers to just about every walk of life imaginable. And the main theme here is that they employ people. They're looking for good candidates to run, because after all, whoever sits there as a mayor is going to represent them, and they have to live here in Laredo. They want the quality of life, and they feel that by having good representation, then the rest will follow.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Actually, I guess just one more question before we begin to wrap things up. What makes you stand out compared to your opponent? Why do you think that you should be chosen over the other person?
What makes me stand out over my opponent is my commitment and my experience as a leader in this community. I have been president of the Laredo Association of Realtors. I have been president of International Good Neighbor Council. I have been president of Jalapeno Festival. I have been president of just about every club and organization that I have ever served under. As a matter of fact, when I was working at Laredo National Bank and I was right out of college, I was involved in 23 clubs and organizations at one time. And so that has been my participation with the city of Laredo. I was taught to give back to the community that has done so much for me. My father is a former county judge, former president of Laredo Independent School District, former president of Laredo College Board. He was the one who went to the Killam's and asked for land so that we can have this beautiful campus. He's the one who went to Austin to ask for the funding for this. So I have a lot of training in helping this community, in participating in this community. And then in my adulthood, I have served on planning and zoning, which is what looks over the development community and looks at how we're putting together all of these subdivisions so that you and I can live in a home. I have served under the Board of Adjustments. I chaired that committee. And then I've also served on the telecommunications. I've also served on the transportation. I have also served on back when Mayor appointed me for housing and redevelopment of the Hamilton Hotel, which was a hotel, and now it houses elderly. I've also served on the Master Thoroughfare Plan, and that is what, when we didn't have McPherson the way it is, and we didn't have the loop, we put it all together. So I've been serving this community since I've been in grade school. But more importantly, I was taught to help my fellow man. I was taught by my father and his father before him to help, to serve this community. And so now I served as 4 years as a city councilman. And I've seen what it takes to get people together. I've seen what it takes to bring in the community to help do projects, to help beautify Laredo, to help have access to Washington, to Mexico City, to Austin. I've been there. I can hit the ground running from day one. I don't need that learning curve. I don't need a year to figure it out. I've already figured it out. I'm ready to work. I'm ready to make this commitment. I can do it full time. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to get the job done. And that's why I'm the right candidate, the right person to be the mayor of this community.
Right.
I think, honestly, that was a really good closing statement in itself. But just as we wrap up, is there anything else that you maybe would like to say to the audience, to the city of Laredo overall?
Well, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas coming forth. The elections, we're down to 2. We were 10. We're down to 2. The elections start early voting November 30th through December 13th. So that's 2 weeks of early voting. And then election day is on the 17th. But I don't want to talk about election day, because if you saw election day, there were a lot of people trying to vote at the last minute. Why put yourself through that? When early voting starts, get it over and done with. Go vote for me, because I can sure use your help. I need your vote. I ask for your vote. I humbly ask for your vote. Please, early voting, get it out of the way and go vote. And take your family member, take a friend. It's easy.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Martinez, for being here with us today. And before we finish up, we just have some really quick announcements for the audience.
Yeah, so actually, Mr. Martinez, you took it right out of our mouths. We're going to announce that, yes, early voting does indeed start on November 30th, and it goes all the way up to December 13th. As he mentioned, you just get it over with. Take your friends, take your family, go vote, go voice your voice. Go vote. Yes, it's really important to go vote. And as he mentioned as well, election day itself is on December 17th. So whichever one you're able to go to, just get it out of the way and go vote. Thank you.
Yeah, and we just encourage everybody who's eligible to do that. The runoff elections are super important, especially because a lot of people don't go out and vote in these, so your vote counts almost double, right? But with that being said, if you have any questions regarding the voting process, we're always happy to help here. You can contact us at our Facebook or Instagram at txamiu.sga.pac, or you can send us an email at tamiu.political.action@gmail.com. And we hope to see everyone, and especially our dust devils, going out to vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me and hosting me here today.
No problem, sir. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.